Well, we opened the last hour with a bit of a rant about how the issue, how the Trayvon Martin murder trial of George Zimmerman has opened a conversation about race in this country, which I think is long overdue and very important. But then there's the trial itself as well. Debbie Hines is with us. She is a trial lawyer, former prosecutor, legal political commentator over at LegalSpeaks.com. and has been sharing with us her thoughts on what's going on with the trial, but watching it very carefully. Debbie, welcome back.
Thank you, Tom. Glad to be back.
First question. This is a kind of a technical question, but I've been hearing a lot of commentary. I've been, actually paying a fair amount of attention to this, and that suggests that second-degree murder is a very high bar for this prosecution to hit, and that by not going for manslaughter, which would have been probably more of a slam dunk, they may blow the case. On the other hand, Shano, our associate producer here, who has a law degree, found some information suggesting that in Florida, it is possible to embed into the jury instructions or into the prosecutor's brief a request for, if the jury can't find the person guilty of a higher charge, a lesser charge. Do you know how that's playing out with regard to this trial and whether that's possible in the jurisdiction that this is being prosecuted in?
Well, they've charged second-degree murder in most jurisdictions. Even when you do charge first-degree murder, and that is the primary charge, the jury can still find under the judge's instructions second-degree murder or manslaughter. It doesn't work its way up. So if the prosecution had charged manslaughter, the jury could not have found second-degree murder. It doesn't work up; it works down.
Right, but they still have the option of defaulting back to manslaughter if they can't come to a second-degree murder conviction.
That is my understanding. Yes. Okay. I'm not licensed in Florida. I just want to give that caveat, but that is my understanding. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to make sense. So what's I've been on the air for a couple of hours and show prep. I haven't seen what's happened most recently in the trial. What's going on?
Well, today is the day, Judge Zimmerman, the judge, Deborah Nelson, says this is the day that the state ends their case. So however late they have to go today, she said they're going to end their case today. They only have a few witnesses left. Presumably, Sabrina Fulton would be the last witness, and the witness that was just on, for which right now they're doing the cross-examination on, is the DNA expert. And that was really very interesting.
What did the DNA experts say that was interesting?
Well, the DNA, there's been all this talk about, you've heard in the opening that there wasn't really any blood that was found, but then you're looking at the pictures of George Zimmerman. He's clearly got a bloody nose, and his head's bashed up, but there is no blood that was found on Trayvon Martin of George Zimmerman. And that's pretty much what the DNA expert has said, is that there isn't really any blood on Trayvon Martin from George Zimmerman, as if he had been really punching him and beating him.
Yeah, does that not suggest that, we now know that George Zimmerman had taken classes in the law. He understood the law. He understood what a self-defense defense was, and he understood stand your ground and all this other stuff. Does that mean that it's possible that after George Zimmerman killed Trayvon Martin, he then smashed his own head into the sidewalk or went home and said to somebody, punch me a few times and make it look really good before I call the police?
No, he didn't go home. They found him on the spot. The police were on the way, and if he just waited, Trayvon Martin would still be living. The police came, and they found him on the spot. And I don't think it's any doubt that, there was a tussle, there was a fight, and that he hit his head on the ground. And the medical examiner had testified that actually the marks that you see on the back of his head, that they were very superficial marks. They required a Band-Aid. They did not require stitches. And even though Zimmerman had said that, he beat him repeatedly, he had his head pounding and pounding and pounding repeatedly against the cement, the medical examiner said, well, no, I think all of this could have happened with just one blow.
So it could be that George Zimmerman just tripped and fell.
He had some injuries from the head, and it was probably from the fight, but there is still the question of, the nose issue and all this blood that he's saying actually occurred. The scientific evidence does not support that.
If you punch somebody in the nose hard enough to break their nose, you are going to end up with blood and skin on your fingers.
Right, and it's not there.
And it's not there on Trayvon Martin's fingers. So how did George Zimmerman's nose get broken?
I don't think we have to know. I mean, now you actually are sounding like a juror. I don't think we have to know how it happened. I think we just have to know it did not happen the way he said it happened.
Right. Right, which makes me very suspicious.
I mean, it didn't happen the way he said it happened. And it's really good about the DNA evidence because that's the one thing that people that are watching TV, the jurors, they watch their shows. I mean, everybody thinks there's always this DNA evidence that's going to break the case. And in a way, this DNA evidence does really help to support that whatever happened, and we're never going to know the really complete full picture because both parties cannot testify, but what we do know is it did not happen the way the defendant says it happened.
Right, which impeaches the defendant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, there was gun testimony. I heard part of that this morning while I was home doing show prep, where the gun expert said that George Zimmerman walked into this thing with an active shell in the chamber.
Right. No doubt about that.
Yeah, I'm quite familiar with firearms, and one of my brothers is a sport target shooter. We don't have any hunters or anything in our family, but and you just don't do that. You don't walk around with a hot shell in the chamber unless you're really planning on using it imminently. And
that goes back to the theme that the state has, that this person, this defendant, he was a wannabe cop. So it goes consistently for him that's why he would do it. I mean, the average person is not really going to do that because they don't want to have a family member hurt or an innocent person hurt by having a gun, by having the available in the chamber. But this was a person who saw himself as a cop.
Right. So he was
ready. He was armed and ready.
Yeah, and more than ready. He was basically half cocked. I mean, not fully cocked. Well, actually, you could say it was fully cocked because all he had to do was pull the trigger, and boom.
And that was some other testimony that was really very interesting. And I know that all of this will get really pieced together when the prosecution does the closing arguments. But with respect to the gun, what they were saying is that in order, the particular gun that he had, you had to really pull back on the gun for it to fire. They explained in a lot more technical detail than we probably can discuss, but the point being that if Zimmerman was on the bottom and he's being beat by Trayvon Martin, it raises the question, would he really be able to, with that particular weapon, to be able to pull back the length that he needed to pull back because he's already allegedly flat on the ground.
Right. I'm curious about, just a quick question about Rachel Jeantel, was it?
Yeah, Rachel Jeantel, yes.
I recently learned that English was her third language, that she speaks Creole and that she spoke either French or Spanish.
She speaks Haitian Creole, she speaks Spanish, and she speaks English.
I mean, that radically increased my respect for her. I thought she was being treated very poorly by the prosecution to begin with. Does the jury know that?
I'm trying to think how that, yes, they do, because I'm not sure if it came out on redirect with the prosecution, but she was saying it did come out that she speaks at home, and it probably came out on cross-examination as I'm thinking it through, but she made it clear that she speaks Haitian Creole at home to her mother, and she does speak English and she speaks Spanish. That did come out because Don West was trying to make her seem like she's a moron.
Right, an inarticulate moron, yeah. And people who speak three languages,
very bright.
Really? Okay, Debbie Hines, a trial lawyer, former prosecutor, legal political commentator over at LegalSpeaks.com. Debbie, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Tom. Always a pleasure.
Really appreciate your insights. It's great to have somebody we can go to who knows this stuff. Thank you again. We'll be right back.